Good morning, all. Runa, your friendly traveling witch here, and the newest episode of Solitary Shenanigans, as I've determined these little missives should be called. Last time I was freaking out a little bit over the technology, and I'm still kind of learning it, so please be patient with me. But I forgot to tell you, because of that little freak out, who I am. I'm Runa Troy. I'm a solitary witch and have been for decades and decades. Magic called to me when I was around 13 years old, when, as Marilyn, my dear friend and partner in Country Dwellers, will say, I received a divine download. That download was in the form of an unusual dragonfly that I had never seen before. And it led me to a bookstore, which then led me to a book and opened up a whole new world and unlocked an energy and identity that was bursting to come out. And here I am. Connect with us on Country Dwellers Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and tell us how you came down this path to the craft, your faith, your spirituality. Now, back to our little missive here. Last time we talked about books, what I was going to be reading this month, and I'm almost through Initiated. Can you see that? I don't know. There you go. You can see the cover there on my lovely little Kindle. Since I'm a traveling witch, this is how I have to carry my books now. But it is so good and makes me want to spend more time with curled up on the couch with my puppies and tea and reading, which is always a good self-care little time that you can spend with one another. But I'm reading it and I'm like, oh man, do I know that. And I'll probably post a more detailed review on our Country Dwellers website when I've finished reading it. So stay tuned for that. Today, I want to talk about omens, messages from source that nudge you to pay attention to something specifically. It will come in the form of a creature, an animal, a bird, an insect. And I mean, it's something that crosses your path unexpectedly. The sparrows in your yard, as lovely as they are not omens. They are a gift from Mother Nature to be enjoyed, protected, and respected. What I'm talking about is when something unusual happens to you in the form of a little creature visit. For instance, when you suddenly see a vulture in your yard as opposed to those sparrows, that is an omen, I would say. Or more recently, like when we were on a hike and we turned a path, there stood this huge deer. She just stood her ground and didn't move, didn't dart away like typically you'll see deer do. And she looked at us, me, as if to say, listen up, honey, Source has a message for you. And it took me the better part of the day to realize and figure out exactly what that message was. And we'll talk on that a little bit further. Probably the most talked about animal as an omen is the black cat. Now, especially when it crosses your path. If your neighbor has a black cat or you have a black cat, that's not an omen, folks. But when you're in a parking garage and one trots up next to you and mews, well, guess what? Omen. Also, it doesn't have to be a black cat. It could be a giant Maine Coon cat for that matter. But Source will reach out and touch creatures to come and say, hey, I have a message for you from the universe and you need to listen, witch. Now, how do you know what that message from Source is? Well, like many things on the pagan path, it's going to depend on you, where you are in your path, what is currently happening in your life, what kind of energy is being presented to you. What are you questioning at that moment? Are you in need of a little nudge on your path to your greatest and highest good? You have to take a pause and feel that energy from the animal, the bird, the insect, and how does it interact with you on a personal level at that moment. Many country dwellers have a general idea what each and every animal means, but again, you're going to have to sit with that message and determine exactly what it is. Tell the story of the encounter to a fellow witch and ask and see if they have an idea, if you're really confused and uncertain. but each creature carries its own elemental energy. So if you can perhaps interpret that, knowing kind of what their energy is, that might help you. I have a little template that I put together this morning for some pretty typical creatures that might cross your path and be an omen for you. For instance, the dragonfly, the one that started me down this path. It is a water elemental, because you have to remember dragonflies start their life in the water before they become creatures of the air. And they are very, very much telling you that a transformation is coming and you need to pay attention to it. Every time I see a dragonfly, I pay attention. Deer, earth elemental. It's time to stand firm, face your problems without losing yourself. It's time to fight for the life that you want. And what a magnificent encounter if you get that omen. Black cat, fire elemental. Hence the dark color, right? Anything that has been burned comes back to life again, right? The phoenix, a forest fire. It's amazing as we've been traveling down the California coast and seeing all the fires, the new life that's already popping up in, just a month or so. It's incredible. But for a black cat, a change of your luck is coming. So if you're in a good trend in your life, you need to beware. If you've been having a rough time of it and this black cat comes along, things are going to change for the better for you. So pay attention. An owl. And here's a creature that is for me personally always something that brings a forewarning, and has in the previous past of my life. Recently, it's been an omen of good, and they are air elemental, and they always bring messages of great change, which is likely why many people see them as a bad omen, but it's not necessarily true. And it's taken me a long time to embrace that, but Source has been very, very diligent in bringing owls in front of me and reminding me of the great transformation or the great changes that are happening in my own life, and to pay attention to them and to nurture them. Now, if you have a crow or a raven come upon you as an omen, they again are a fire elemental, and you are about to face a truth. And it could be a very difficult emotional truth, or you could be revealed a truth about someone in your life that had been hidden before. And it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Maybe that guy that, you see every day in the coffee shop, really is digging in on you, but you just aren't paying attention. They could bring you that kind of thing. It's not necessarily a, oh my gosh, this person has been lying to you kind of truth either. So be aware, pay attention. Rabbit, earth elemental. The goodness in your life will increase, very much like rabbits multiply and create lots and lots of little bunnies. So the goodness in your life is going to multiply. Lizard, air elemental. Pay more attention to your dreams and know that you are on the right path. This is something that I can absolutely testify to, that when a lizard crosses your path, this is what they're trying to tell you. They are, taking their little tail and their little prickly elbows and saying, pay attention. Snake, water elemental. Trust your inner wisdom and keep true to your spirituality. Don't dismiss your own power. Snakes have a really bad reputation in the Western Christian world as agents of the devil. And it's really sad because snakes are very powerful creatures, and they are impacted by their environment greatly. But they have to have the right environment to thrive. So that's why it's an omen of paying attention to your inner power, to your own spirituality. And that's what I have today for you for Solitary Shenanigans. Pay attention to those omens. Let us know through the various platforms on Country Dweller and the Old Tree Metaphysical Shop on Marilyn's side of things. And tell us about the omens that you've recently encountered. And what message did they have for you? Did you listen? Did you not listen? And we hope to see you again here next week. The circle is open, but unbroken. Until we meet again, merry part and blessed be.